put this light on. I hope you can see me. The light may not be the best, but I'm hoping. Oh, my connection's unstable. Oh, don't need this. I don't need this on the start of 2021. I mean, honestly, I could ask for a better start. Yes, yes. Somebody actually responds. Charlie, good to see you, man. Oh, back up. Yeah, I had trouble. I had massive trouble. Something wrong with my streaming service. I tried multiple times and apparently I couldn't get anybody on. No one was actually watching me because I think something just went awfully wrong. So I had to look around and I tried using the YouTube version because the Be Live Studio that I usually use for some reason just wasn't working. And I ran into a bit of trouble and unfortunately it just completely buggered out and I don't know what happened, but I'm live anyway and I'm hoping everyone has a happy and safe 2021 and I'm so glad that you can join me in for tonight because not going to just go over through Doctor Who and other stuff. We're going to have a lot of fun and we're also going to make some sort of predictions, some sort of hope for 2021 because let's face it, last year was pretty awful, pretty darn awful. But I think everyone would say that 2020, from some positives, there are some incredible memories, especially with, lockdown being incredibly horrible for many of us. I think looking back on my life in 2020, apart from working, apart from the whole industry sort of shutting down, I say that with the most part, I think 2020 for some moments, like my birthday, which was probably the last ever night out I went with my mates and I ever saw them. And then I had my night with John Sim in a nightclub, which doesn't really happen much often. And it was late January, on a Wednesday night. He was at some bar and we just happened to rock up and we would just happen to be in the presence of a brilliant actor of John Sim, which I say for many of us, we have probably one of the best nights ever with Aaron and Adam, best mates of mine who are also Doctor Who fans, and they will also love this stream. I mean, I do apologize for the fact that it's taken me this long to get this whole stream set up and ready to go. I mean, like I said, it's just, I found when I got this whole thing set up, it was going to work. Then I ran into a bit of trouble. Apart from it was working, I saw myself clear, but apart from that, I think the whole sort of stream sort of blacked out. I didn't see anybody even being registered as watching me, which seems quite strange. I don't know why, but at least I'm getting a lot of people joining me right now. It's better than having nobody because I would be sitting to myself, even just talking to myself. That wouldn't be a good start, would it? No, it wouldn't. But like I said, even going through thinking about this whole prediction for 2021, I kind of want to see myself more positive and much happier than I was in 2020. And I've got these wristbands anyway to show the proof. So if you could probably read that, be positive. Let me swap this one around. Be happy. I've got two of them on because I think knowing that I've got these on, I always know that throughout 2020, I wasn't really myself. I was getting angry all the time and seeing on the positive and the frustrating things in life. But no, these things are actually gonna, keep me sane, keep me feeling good throughout the rest of the year. And like I said, I wish everyone the best for 2021, and I really hope everyone sees, a bit of shining light on 2021, as maybe this could be finally the year that we can actually go out and see all our friends and families and to have parties and celebrations and make more memories with each other. I think that's probably going to happen this year. And I've got some resolutions of myself, probably going to try and do a attempt dry January again. So I'm not drinking any alcohol tonight, which begs the question that I don't really want to do it, but I must because there has to be some New Year's resolutions, I've got to say, because if I don't make any, then it's going to be annoying though. So yeah, I'm happy though to make some New Year's resolutions, as I've already done from last year. No Burger King, no KFC, no McDonald's, none of that. I don't need that junk food. So yeah, I'm sorted. I'm happy with that, and I'm glad to see that we've got some people in the chat. We've got about 6 people, which is better than having none. it would be a lot boring if I didn't have anybody. So I'm glad everyone can join me. Hello, Charlie. Hello, Adam. How you all doing? So yes, this is my live stream review of the Revolution of the Daleks, the New Year's Day special of Doctor Who. And I can tell you from before this episode went out, I had some predictions for this. When they introduced the sort of Black Dalek Recon Scouts, immediately fall back to Resolution. About 2 seasons ago in Doctor Who, they had an episode where the Dalek was being transported from different time zones and it was buried underneath all this rubble in a cave somewhere. And it's just having this sort of like mutated device. It latched onto one human and they got converted because of that. And they literally rebuild themselves. The Dalek mutant rebuilt itself via the pilot of a human and completely transformed itself into a sort of man-made Dalek. And when you think about it, a man-made Dalek not been created by other geniuses known as Davros, who, spoilers, didn't appear in this episode, which I was actually glad that he didn't. But it really followed on from previous episode, Resolution. And I think, to be honest, knowing that he used the same sort of HQ, I believe it's Global Communications Headquarters. I could be wrong on that, but no, I think no, that episode was good, but this is like the next level up beyond that. So I believe that's what they planned on doing. They thought Resolution was so good, let's play a second story on top of that, and I think they've done pretty well with that. I also thought when I saw the news of Jack Robertson, who played a Trump character in a previous series with Jodie Whittaker, and from that he still acts like the biggest dick of ever. Like honestly, you watch him, you think to yourself, man, he's a right dick, isn't he? I mean, there's no two ways about it. I think seeing him in this episode was going to be challenging because not just as a character, he's very manipulative and very commanding. And in this episode, you see a little bit more than that. And I'll get into discussions a bit later on. I'd just like everyone to get themselves comfortable and tell me, what do you plan on doing for 2021? Are you planning on doing some New Year's resolutions? Or are you going to try and be much happier and try and look on the positive things in life? Because I think that's what everyone's trying to do this year. And even if your New Year's resolution is just that, then I'm all happy for you, because at the end of the day, 2020 is your year. Whether you don't think that, I'm quite happy that everyone is making their 2021 as their year. So this is the year for you to get back on your feet, to try new things, and to be reunited with friends, most importantly, and also just to have a brilliant time together. And I think that's the most important thing, not just to get caught up with COVID and the tiered system that we're all in. And especially if you're watching this across the world, then we're kind of struggling quite a lot. But even for the most part, I still have that little belief, that tiny little belief, that we've got some sort of help or some sort of credibility that's to carry on into the next year. I mean, even if you've looked at my Instagram story across last night, literally did a stream with I didn't do a stream. I did like stories on Instagram, me kicking off a snowman's head with a claymore kick. If you don't know what a claymore kick, you've not seen wrestling. So that's probably one for you. But if you know what I mean, then yeah. I made a right fool of myself making that video, and as soon as I saw people laughing about that, I was like, well, at least I've lightened up their end of 2020. And forwarding into 2021, I definitely can see that there's a lot of confidence riding into this year, not just for other TV shows and other businesses. And I think everyone in general just really want this year to be better and a lot more positive and happier. So yeah, enough of me talking about what I have predictions for this year. I'm just hoping to see new opportunities and making sure whenever those opportunities come towards me, I take them. Because even if it's going for a new job or anything in particular personally, I'm always there to try and be the sort of saving grace to try and save somebody's 2020 at least. Because, or even still, I've tried to plan on to do, be most importantly of all, stick with the friends that you've got, and if they're struggling, you help them out. even if it's through money issues or personal issues, you're there for your friends and always will be throughout this year. And I think that's what we've got to make sure that we can tackle this year. Like I said, I'm going to try and just raise the volume a bit. So yeah, I'm hoping I sound a little bit louder than I should do. Also, we also realized that this was going to be Ryan and Graham's last story. So I was hoping they were going to do a little bit of more effort into this, which I'm glad that they've done, because even when I get to it in a minute, like Chris Chibnall's blown me away with this. And I think some random reason, if I can recall rightly, like, why is it that Chris Chibnall is so good at New Year's Day specials, but not as really good when it comes to his series, most importantly? I think that's what we all need to just try and process. We're all very, very capable of knowing how we can grade Doctor Who and in each story, and we can try and become more positive to look on the bright side of things, especially with this light as well. So yeah. Oh, I don't like that light. Okay, that's better, I guess. Yeah, I'm just trying to with the light just so you can see my face, otherwise I'll just be in the dark. But no, I think Chris Chibnall, I think for me, has just really got the wrong bag of consistency. And I think he needs to get a lot more consistency with his series. But I think for one thing I would definitely say about Chris Chibnall, he's very good in putting a smile on people's faces when it comes to a brand new year. And I do not know what that was. That was literally some ringtone I've got on my phone. Clearly don't know what that was. Pretty much a Kaching sort of ringtone. I know, it's crazy. And yes, practically it's like a Dalek sort of government sort of storyline. I was going to probably pay more of a homage to Victory of the Daleks and maybe more episodes on top of that. Maybe, I don't know, a Stolen Earth and Journey's End sort of story. I mean, that would have been like really good as well to look back on it. But no, I think in all honesty, there's been some good things going into this episode. I mean, they even filmed most of this, like even way before, like, you know, lockdown. I mean, the earliest that they were filming was like 2019 in October. So they filmed this like miles ahead, like even before the whole lockdown COVID situation, which I'm quite shocked by. And it makes you even wonder that they kept it so close to the very end that they revealed that John Barrowman was going to appear. And for all our sakes, we all love John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness. I mean, whether you like him or hate him, well, actually, if you hate him, then I won't be your friend, because in all honesty, he was actually, you know, one of the known faces I think everyone wanted to see back. And also, just most importantly, I think looking at this as a Daleks perspective story, how does this play into canon? And more particularly, how does it fit? So obviously with the Resolution being the main sort of canon related episode, this perfectly fits quite nicely. But when we get on to later on, then I'm going to spoil you with a little bit more than what was just given to us. So let me just go through to your comments. I'm just going to read some of them. Planning to try and get the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons by buying them all in DVD soon. And we're trying to think positive, hoping that this year will be more positive. Yeah, absolutely, Charlie. Just got to believe in yourself. And again, friendship. Friendship is always one thing there. Not only if it's you and me, wherever we're talking, and even for the times that you recommend box sets to me, you're always a friend through and through. And Adam, yeah, definitely an experience meeting a legend. God, yes, the only thing missing is a pint down the pub, which won't be too long, I hope. I hope this ends really soon, so we can literally focus on with the rest of our amazing careers, our amazing life, and I hope 2021 could be the start of something big. Anyway, I hope that's going to be enough of me talking. Let's get cracking on with my review on Resolution of the Daleks. And immediately, when I saw the prison, I thought immediately thinking back to Sharda, because they did something similar with their animated version. And when I saw that they were trying to recreate something different and sort of similar, like in the Sharda episode, I thought to myself, this was probably filmed quite recently, because this was obviously known as some sort of like promo package for the fans to get really excited to see the Doctor in that prison. I think they did all that filming in the prison kind of to the last minute of the end of 2020 when they had time to film and to film under all of the COVID restrictions, which I guess made sense because the Doctor was by herself and she didn't really have anybody else in that prison. So it kind of made sense that I was kind of filmed more recently than most of the others that were filmed kind of a year before. So I guess that was probably planned to do so. And I think even looking back on the sort of surprises that you got inside the prison, you saw a weeping angel, a nude, a Sycorax. We even saw the little Pating, the little sort of Monsters Inc. sort of character that I sometimes call it. And then you've also got the Silence coming back as well, which, well, they were only cameo appearances, and there's nothing really to get hyper about. But let's just say they've got to bring back some sort of continuity, and that the Doctor sort of remembers the Silence. But remember, the Silence is not a creature that once you remember, like, once you see them, you forget them. Like, immediately I thought that the Doctor was going to forget the Silence, end of. But even still, she carried on for a bit more. And then all of a sudden, when she was eating her food, or like some sort of crap prison food, more like, and then she was targeting sort of like the wall and scratching it like she's been here for years and decades and all sorts. And then all of a sudden, Captain Jack just popped up out of nowhere. And for the love of me, everyone would be like, it's Jack. It's Jack. Yes. And immediately when he smashed through the cage to grab the Doctor, I was like thinking, like, this is practically what I really wanted for the Doctor and Captain Jack's first on-screen appearance with each other. Because in the lead up to this story, we were probably so surprised that that sort of wasn't really it. Like, I think in the lead up to it, like even before this whole story aired, I think there was some things to take from, because Captain Jack and the Doctor, how were they going to meet? How were they going to interact? We were all hoping that Jodie was going to have some sort of big role in this, as well as Captain Jack being the main guest star, probably being one of the best factors of this episode. And I'm glad that they went and introduced Jack and the Doctor face to face and literally trying to burst out of that prison. And I love the fact that Jack got in there for committing so many crimes, and it's for the love of me. I can't even imagine how Jack even got into that prison in the first place. Knowing him, he probably robbed some galactic bank, or he probably stole away with a late night hooker in an intergalactic galaxy nightclub sort of thing. Knowing Jack, he's handsome, so surely that works. And then when I saw the Vortex Manipulator, since when did that became such a useful thing and they landed into the TARDIS? Like, when I see that Vortex Manipulator, I see that when Captain Jack Harkness used that, he goes around ripping universes apart by using it, and they didn't really play that into controversy and continuity in a way. And even if that the Doctor was imprisoned by the Jejuned in the Timeless Children, I still think that the fact that the Doctor was in prison was probably a neat idea, so that they can be separated from, the gang or the farm or however you like to call it. And especially I like to see the brilliant chemistry. And I think for the life of me, I think the chemistry between Jodie and Jack is kind of weird. But I like it in some way because it's taking of what you like of Eccleston and Jack, or Tennant and Jack, and merging sort of like, Jack didn't really play much into Jodie's sort of female figure and kind of respected her for the role as the Doctor, which was practically what I was looking for. Not to come across as kind of offensive and kind of a bit rude, but in a way, Jack was himself. And I think for the love of us, I think Jack wanted to be the star, wanted to be himself in this episode. Because if he was trying to be somebody else, then that's not Captain Jack Harkness. You might as well not have him in the episode. But no, I thought Jack was excellent in this. He was, I tell you what, even looking at Jack Harkness, I still get those, I still get that tingly feeling that, something good is going to happen. He's like the heart and soul of Doctor Who. Excuse me. Like, he already knows how powerful these stories can be for him. And even for the fact that he hasn't been in many stories in the lead up to this, the fact that he came back like nothing has happened, even between all of the timelines throughout all of the years, Jack has just been like, and he's been on an adrenaline rush. He's literally been really excited. Like he was saying, like, "Oh, I've missed that sound." You see it with his smile. He was loving it. He was loving just being around Jodie. The one thing I didn't like though was how he departed, and I think for the life of us, they could have done something better with his departure instead of a little goodbye message chat. And the fact that they referenced Torchwood with Gwen Cooper having a kid makes you kind of wonder what happens after Torchwood with Doctor Who. Like, there's more for you to even get your head around with continuity and all that. Yeah. I prefer the Dominators over this story, but it's still a cracking episode. Even when talking about... Yeah, I agree. Because even still, I'm going to get onto the companion departures a bit later, because I still think that from this story, from the get-go, the build-up at the very beginning was really good. Like, I could have recognized for the life of me who was that dinner lady driving that sort of convenience truck. And in a way, sort of knew about the sort of Resolution Dalek in the first place, and made some sort of brilliant tactical decision by introducing these characters like Jack Robertson, this other woman who I can't really remember for the life of me, but I remember Leo. He was kind of the science behind making this entire recon scout of a Dalek. And immediately when I saw the Dalek being introduced into that massive crowd of people battling against those policemen, and not to bring this sort of story down a bit, I think for the main part, it gave me flashbacks of what happened in the late stages of 2020, where we had the people of the Black Lives Matter campaign and all of these other campaigns going on at the same time. They had the police enforcing them like rebels and riots and all sorts. I kind of didn't want them to bring that up because they just gave me a picture in my head that thrown back to all those memories of 2020 where there was policemen and they seem to be the problem in this story, and especially in life as well, that they just, it's just a bit confusing to get your head around. And I just thought, for the life of me, I don't know why they wanted to include that, rebels attacking policemen left, right, and center, like they are the problem. They're not. They have no reasons, blah, 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 whatsoever. And I even think that recon scout that was reprogrammed, it looks like Dalek set, but man-made instead. I'm not trying to say it is Dalek set. These are recon scouts that have been duplicated and cloned with an artificial intelligence inside, not with organic and human matter, sort of the impurity of a Dalek, which I thought brilliant. And as soon as I saw the water pistol, the smoke bombs, the supersonic waves, I thought, that's how you deal with a bunch of rebels who are acting out of control. You don't kill them left, right, and center. That'd be too obvious. But giving them a pistol, like a water sprayer, a smoke bomb to gas them, even if you could put poisonous gas in them, you can still do that. But only for the rust type of people, I guess. For rebels, I would have liked maybe one person would have died, and therefore maybe would have had some threat by this sort of powerful entity that this is, this Dalek recon scouts, who were apparently the first Daleks to leave Skara, but this one seems to have no sort of Dalek matter whatsoever, but has been completely cleaned out with some sort of a robotic artificial intelligence sort of controlling. And in a way, it had some sort of like a difference to. And you know what it reminds me of? With this entire thing, I got hints at memories of the Daleks. Like, you got the renegade Daleks, you got the Imperial Daleks, going at each other, battling because they hate their own flesh. One's not as pure than the other. They hate each other. And I'm really glad that they brought the classic, not really classic. For us as the 2005 fans of Doctor Who, we call them the classic bronze-style Dalek. And for them to be sort of like the Dalek sort of police enforcers makes you kind of wonder, where on earth were they hiding? Immediately when you look through the time vortex, I think even when you saw the time vortex go away, you knew that was partly between the time vortex. Like, say, time vortex is here, if you can see that. Time vortex here, time vortex here. In the middle, you've got the void. Now, where on earth, follow back to 2006, Series 2, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. That was where the Daleks were apparently. Like, there was the Genesis arc involved, and then they throw all of the Daleks into the void, where they were destroyed, I guess. But apparently one set of faction of Daleks who were police Dalek enforcers who don't necessarily kill humans, but they're more lead to reprogram Daleks who have gone insane. Or Daleks that don't match up to their impurity status. And I think that's because the Daleks, the Bronze Daleks, the proper Bronze Daleks, see that these other Daleks being created with artificial intelligence, they're not fully pure. And immediately gets your attention that when you have a Dalek that's impure with hardly any Dalek matter in there, but with a little bit of human technology, a little bit of human DNA attached to it, you realize that these Recon Scouts Daleks are not purely Dalek. And then even came to the last Recon Scout that managed to go onto the Dalek ship or the Crucible. And it meant that I thought they were going to survive that. Because I was really shocked by how they was thinking that this Dalek was going to survive because this Recon Scout managed to get on board the ship for some apparent reason. But then they killed it off, which I thought it was kind of a bugger, because I thought what would have happened if that Recon Scout Dalek would have lived? Like, or just managed to be like betrayed or sort of like, I don't know, negotiated with those Bronze Daleks that I am 100% pure. And then even for them, the Bronze Daleks were trying to get their heads around, like, is he pure? Is it pure? Like, even they were having second thoughts, but I think they kind of made the wrong choice. And I've kind of felt bad for the last Recon Scout, because that was the only one that became properly pure, Dalek mutant pure. That was the one that attached to Leo and killed him instantly. And I think for the life of me, the way that they recreated the sort of mutants, so from Leo's creation of cloning the Dalek DNA samples to recloning them all and create an entire chamber of mutating organic mutants of Daleks. And with all of that they've created, Yaz and Captain Jack go into the mix and they try and blow the whole thing up. But instead, they see that the Dalek, mutants latch onto their necks and faces and try and bloody, strangle them. And even it makes me so smile to see Jack hasn't got rid of his sonic laser or his sonic blaster. And it throws back controversy to, or memories to, when the Doctor dances and the Doctor and Jack are trying to fend off the gas mask zombies. And Jack is doing the pointing. And the Doctor's like, oh, don't worry, I've just got a sonic. You've got I've got a sonic blaster, and you've got a sonic what? No, I'm totally sonic. I am Sonic Duck. A sonic what? Screwdriver. Like, even throwing back to that memory, I still love that. I still love it. I think it's incredible. I mean, I thought when Leo himself, when he got that casing of the Dalek mutant and showed it to Jack, why couldn't he not just chuck that whole box into the incinerator? Don't just get it out and chuck it away, because that thing is living. It can attack you and strangle you and take control of you like a pilot. Not trying to throw reference to, say, the pilot in Series 10, that's completely different. But this one's more like a Dalek pilot. And I like how the fact that they played back so brilliantly to Resolution, where they had that woman who was controlled or being the pilot for this Dalek and was trying to recreate its own version of a Dalek, its man-made own Dalek. And I tell you what, this is a step up from that episode. And I think Doctor Who have really pushed the boat out, and they've really gone and created a story that actually takes the Dalek threat and the Dalek sort of creativity to a new level. Like, even with the Recon Scouts, the design, I think, is brilliant. It doesn't shy away too much from the originals. And if you were given the job, how would you redesign the Daleks for a modern new look, a new and improved look? A lot of people tend to take the bronze Dalek and change it up slightly. But I think Doctor Who, I think you've got to give credit to Doctor Who to even come up with some incredible, great-looking Daleks. I think these Daleks, for me, are sort of my favourite, and I think I've got a new favour for those Recon Scout Daleks, because I think they're just so new and so unique. They're not those mutant-hating creatures of Daleks. They're just the security enforcers that work for Jack and the government until they go wrong, until the ultraviolet rays that were used in the warehouse to bring the Dalek mutants, they just disappeared. It's like when the power of the Daleks got their power, they went all mental. Like, they got their power back. Sort of similar to this, because you've got to remember, ultraviolet light, static electricity, it's all the same. It's all like the same power. And when the Daleks get power with the ultraviolet rays, it brings them to life. And even when you see that when they get placed into their casing, replacing the sort of mechanical artificial intelligence, part of it, I thought it was just a fantastic way to even make a Dalek even more menacing. The fact that these security Daleks were more just artificial and were literally being controls from Jack, or maybe not him, but from the government in that way. And they weren't necessarily going to enforce to attack or to exterminate, but more just to calm down and bring down the scare factor. The scare factor is still there from those recon scouts, but it's the fact that you don't know what they can do until they reactivated all of them and you saw the red changing in them. Instead of the blue, you got the red, which I think the red, I don't know. Do you think the red colouring when they light up, do you think it looks better with the red or the blue? Because I would have liked it more with the blue. I'm not sure about you guys. What do you guys think? Do you think blue or red when they light up and start exterminating people? I know red is kind of like a predominant colour, and I know they had the eyepiece as blue colour in with the bronze Daleks, but I kind of like them to be blue for me. Because obviously it seems quite easy of a colour to choose from, but I think they would have kind of benefited personally for me with a blue colour, because I think they just would have been, they would have just stand out to look gorgeous for me. And yeah, even going on to the Doctor, like, let's just say, I think this was her strongest episode. Not for the fact that she brought up the timeless children saying, I don't know who I am anymore. My whole timeline's being rewritten from back to front, and I don't even know, who I am anymore. Like, up until that point, that whole part, I did not want them to mention anything with the timeless children because they fucked it already with that series. So I think the less they spoke about that, the better. But I was really glad that the companions, though, I think this is what you do to companions that you are so attached to. And for Yaz, Ryan, and Graham to spend 10 months, less than what Rose did. Like, remember Rose when she travelled with the Doctor, with the Ninth Doctor, for 3 episodes? She was brought back in time to 1 year later, and the whole world thought that she was missing. Like, something that can affect your life in that way. And looking back on the companions, I think Yaz became an emotional wreck, to say the least. Because I think even when you look at Yaz now, you can still see that they're planning something for next series, that they're gonna try and involve some sort of relationship. And for the love of me, I don't want them to have a relationship like that at all, because I think, with all due respect, the Doctor's asexual, and I don't really want to see them having more of like a more than a friendship, more than a relationship thing. I don't want that to happen. But you see how Yaz was emotionally a wreck when the Doctor leaves her for 10 months. But you see the difference with Ryan and Graham. I thought they handled the situation really well. Like, if the Doctor left you or unfortunately didn't come back, what else are you supposed to do with your life? You can't keep on waiting. Obviously, Amy Pond wait a long time, but then she moved on because the Doctor, she thought that the Doctor was a fairy tale. And even for like Rose, she waited for the Doctor and all these things. But I'm glad for once that Graham and Ryan were the ones that actually got on with life after the Doctor didn't come back. And I was really surprised that Ryan told the Doctor that he more likely feels that this is home to him. And I think, with the most part, he developed some sort of brilliant character development with so much independence. For the fact that Ryan had this condition at the beginning of Series 11, and a lot of people have forgotten about that. But even when Ryan tends to not get his confidence up, and the sort of fact that it has a massive effect on his life, to see him change that much from Series 11 all the way to now, he's actually a really good companion. And one that I think can inspire a lot of people to be like, because he's like that casual, sort of likable, and sort of enjoyable bloke you really want to be around with. Because he doesn't really see that he's not a scientist. He doesn't know a lot about science, but he's clever on his feet. And he does work to protect his family with Graham, and always gets involved. And I always love it when you have a companion that gets involved so much in any episode. You see their commitment, you see their passion to be in that story, whether they're written badly or whether they're written brilliantly. I think, for the most part, I think Ryan has definitely proved me wrong, because I immediately criticized him from Series 11 that there was some sort of character development. Series 12, we didn't really get much, but I think, honestly, thank you. I really did think that Ryan really felt that he wanted to leave the TARDIS, and felt it was the right decision, because you'd be surprised that he'll be the only one to leave, and then Graham goes along with him. And I think Graham also made the right decision to go with Ryan, because, I mean, for the life of me, I think Graham would have been destroyed, like, not by a Dalek, but emotionally destroyed, if he didn't see Ryan next to him. And I think that's family, like the sort of unrequited family love that they didn't have at the very beginning. They kind of like were like two norths of a magnet, but they didn't go together. Now that one's south, one's north, they now connect, and it's sort of the only comparison I can say, really. But it's also how you bring those characters together and always keep them together. And I think Graham has had a brilliant reign with the Doctor and with Yaz. He's been a joy to watch. One of my favorite companions ever. Probably the saving grace of this year and throughout most of the series in Doctor Who. He's been probably everyone's favorite companion. And I am so glad that they did not kill him off. I would have written to Doctor Who saying, why on earth did you kill Graham? You killed Graham, we riot or something. I don't know, but I think the whole fandom would have been destroyed if Graham was killed by a Dalek. Like, I did not want that to happen for the life of me. And even for the fact, I still think that it was the right decision, and I loved the sort of interaction with Graham and Jack and Ryan. It's sort of like, it was like a mini partner-up-ship, like sort of like a Torchwood sort of partnership. And I thought, you know what? Since Jack hasn't been in Torchwood for long, I thought that was a little reunion, setting bombs and explosives around the Dalek Crucible. And I thought they worked brilliantly as a team. And I think, for the life of me, I think Graham and Ryan have been brilliant. Not just for the fact that they've been throughout Series 11, Series 12, but I think they had their strongest episode together, staying together and performing at their best. Because let's face it, I think we always criticize companions for the fact that they get more screen time than actual story time. I think the sort of blend of character development and the sort of storyline was sort of balanced. You might disagree, but I thought the right conversation with the Doctor, saying that you should go back home, confront the bad, confront the good, and find your true self. Now, that is something from a companion that Ryan is well experienced in giving out advice, and giving proper advice out to the Doctor like that. It could change the Doctor's sort of personality in that way. And I think that's what they're going to plan for Series 13. And I think, just in general, I think missing Graham and Ryan around the TARDIS crew, I just think it's going to be weird. And I think a lot of us are going to feel, when it comes back to Series 13, it's going to feel awfully strange not having them around. And I think that's probably one of the best things to look at this episode, because it's one of the things that I think Doctor Who do brilliant at, and that's their sort of storyline, the character development with the companions. And talking about Yaz, there was only one person who could probably see more potential in Yaz than ever before, and that was John Barrowman. That was Captain Jack. And even if you didn't like the speech where Captain Jack spoke with Yaz about the Doctor as a whole, why you can't really wait for the Doctor, because even meeting the Doctor, you're just as lucky as everyone else. And I think the way that Jack said it all was perfect, because I think that was the sort of character development that Yaz was just lacking. Throughout Series 11, she was dull. Series 12, she got a bit better. This now solidifies her as a proper companion. Not just for the fact that the reaction with Yaz and the Doctor was so powerful. And when I saw the push from Yaz to the Doctor, I thought, heel turn. Yes! Finally, Yaz is having a heel turn. Yaz is not just, okay, Doctor, I understand you were away. I get it. No, she bloody stuck to her role. Bloody stuck to what she believed in and said, you left us. Where were you? We waited 10 months. And even the Doctor was bewildered, like, 10 months? No, I can't do that. And even the Doctor was trying to think about all of the things that what the Doctor could do to bring Brian and Graham back, and so that all of this could never happen. And I thought Yaz was there to say, leave it, Doctor. You've done enough. You've done enough damage. Move on. And I think the Doctor just doesn't like happy endings. And I think we all know that. But even still, two of the best companions that I think have made Jodie Whittaker's era bearable, because Jodie Whittaker has had some soft and kind of weak moments in this in her entire year in general. There's been times where I've been angry at her, like, this is not you. And there's been times where you can be better. But then this was probably her strongest, knowing for the reason that even for the fact that she was in prison, and for the fact that she had a stronger connection, knowing that how badly these Daleks can do, and how a bigger impact that this could make on somebody's life. And when Jack just couldn't understand or process it, it made him realize that, what are these Daleks you're talking about? I don't understand this. Like, oh, fuck you, dick. Like, immediately. Can we all agree in the chat? For the love of me, do you all agree? Jack Robinson, he's the massive dick in all of those episodes that he's appeared in. In Arachnids in UK, dick. In this episode, he's a dick, but times 10. He betrays the human race, goes over to the Daleks as a decoy, and persuades to negotiate with them. And even as I remembered about these Daleks not killing humans, but actually having some sort of like agreement with Jack, and I was like thinking, Daleks, come on. Clearly, shoot this dick down for God's sake. But, I mean, Jack was smart though. I have to give credit to him, because even he is a traitor and a dick and a massive manipulator when it comes to the government. I still thought that he developed better than he did with the spiders, and for really good reasons. I think he made the real bad guy in this. Like, he was like the person who thought this was for the good, but then obviously was like thinking, maybe I can have some agreement to maybe negotiate with some money exchange. I think you can't bargain with the Daleks. You're going to bargain your life, you dick. But no, I think Jack really had a good performance. And even for the life of me, I still can't get my head around how they made Jack into this really unlikable person. And to be president after being a decoy to prevent the Daleks from destroying the entire planet, Jack then becomes prime minister or president. Just, how does that end? I think for the love of me, I really wanted him to get killed by a Dalek, and I think for the lot of us, we wouldn't care. We wouldn't care that if he's dead and, oh, I'm so sorry, Jack. Jack is gone. No, he's gone. Jack can have nothing but that. There you go. That's all I'm giving Jack, honestly. But Captain Jack, heart all the way. I mean, even so, not trying to say that was Jack I was mentioning to. John Barrowman as Captain Jack, he deserves a heart. He was always be my heart. But Jack Robertson, no, you can fuck off, honestly. But I think overall, with the characters, like, even with the sort of worthless character like Leo, like, you sort of related to him, like, he did his job. Was this scientific advisor. And I like how the fact they gave some sort of not reference to UNIT, but they made sort of like this global communications headquarters thing, something like UNIT. But I think for the most part, it begs me the question. I don't like it when they completely killed off UNIT, because UNIT's a massive thing. And when you kill UNIT off, and then when Chris Chibnall decides to bring UNIT back for some apparent reason, does that mean that that part of UNIT was gone and forgotten? Like, I still wanted UNIT to come back. Like, no matter how bad we didn't get the Brigadier, I just want to see Kate Stewart or Osgood, for God's sake. But no, I think they've completely written out UNIT and forgotten about UNIT as a whole, which really frustrates me. But I think we got a couple of great references in this this episode as well. We got a reference from Torchwood with Gwen Cooper having a kid, which, again, over a voice message. I bet the Doctor was on some sort of Zoom call with Jack. I bet you. Since when does his vortex manipulator does a Zoom call? In 2021. I mean, for the love of me, it definitely caught me by surprise. And for the most part, what I was really shocked by, the moment when Jack mentioned that he was amazed, and it was nice to see that Jack referenced Rose and the fact that how Jack became immortal because of Rose. There was no reaction from the Doctor. The Doctor didn't go. There was no reaction from the Doctor. So does that mean that from all of the companions that the Doctor has had, when Captain Jack mentions Rose, and I think everyone was like, he remembers. Everyone was amazed by that. And I just think for the most part, I think what really pissed me off was the Doctor's reaction to that. There was no reaction, which just shows how much the Doctor cares, or shows very little cares for the companions that she's been around with. Even if it is Rose, or sort of had the powers to bring Jack back to life, and now he is immortal. And even my favourite line in the bloody trailer was like, you know, I'm Captain Jack Harkness, and I'm immortal. Even for that cheesy line from Jack, I can still forgive him, because he shouldn't be immortal, but we're proud that he's immortal. Because I can't even think for the life of us, if Jack wasn't alive or wasn't immortal, I think we would have lost probably a big, massive part of Doctor Who, because I think John Barrowman, bring him back for any, because he is an absolute legend. Honestly, I love and praise to the guy who literally gives his own time to be on Doctor Who, and a proper Doctor Who episode where he doesn't show up just as a cameo appearance and just apparently helps out Yaz, or apparently helps out the Doctor's companions here and there. He literally gets fully on with the story. Like, he's fully involved. Like, from the prison scene all the way to the very end, which I thought his departure, his ending, kind of sucked. But for the most part, he was my favourite character. And he hasn't changed a bit, Jack. He hasn't changed one single bit. Still flirts. Again, flirts with Graham and called him Silver Star or something. I can't remember. But flirts with Graham, which I thought, that's a nice little romantic. I can't really picture Graham and Jack having some sort of thing. I can't picture it. But no, Jack was amazing. And I've just got to give praise to the fact that they pulled off some sort of brilliant Dalek story that had references to Victory of the Daleks with a whole sort of army of the government being involved, and you saw Downing Street with these Daleks, or as in Victor the Daleks, they called Ironsides, and they were like, "Would you care for some tea?" Like things in general like that. But I think for the most part, like we all have. Oh yeah, Silver Fox. Sorry, yeah, I remember it was like something Silver Fox or something. Yeah, I mean, who knows? That could be Graham's new title, or we will see Graham and Ryan again, but I think it'll probably be towards the end of Jodie Whittaker's regeneration, whenever that may be. But now we know that she's immortal too. It doesn't mean that I'm going to get teary or emotionally or upset about it, because what happened in the Timeless Children means that I don't need to care about if the Doctor's regenerating, because we all know now that the Doctor from that Timeless Children episode that she's immortal. She is all powerful. She's like this almighty god, and she's the first person that was ever on Gallifrey, and for everything that she thought was a lie and all that bollocks and malarkey, makes you wonder that I don't think any of you are going to get really sad or emotionally depressed when it comes to Jodie's regeneration, because they now mean that when it comes to regeneration time, there's no danger. There's no, "I'm so sorry to see you go, Doctor." Like, even for all of the sort of Doctor regenerations that you've had, from William Hartnell all the way to Capaldi, there's been some sort of emotional grief from all of us. Whether you liked them, whether you hated them, you still felt that there was so much grief, so much danger, and so much fear of just saying goodbye to them. With Jodie, though, this year, or whenever that happens, it's not going to feel the same. Because I now look at that in many years' time, or wherever that may be, and I'm not going to get upset. And it's just for the sake of me that it feels weird to have a regeneration scene like that, not to be emotionally grieving or depressing. Because that's what we always tend to do when it comes to regeneration time. Like, we see the pure emotion from the Doctor, like, "I don't want to go," or Capaldi's like, "Doctor, I let you go," and all that lot. I even said that on New Year's New Year's Day. I stood outside my door and I looked up to the sky as all the fireworks were going off, and I just said to myself, 2020, I let you go. And I was thinking, for the life of me, I hope no one catches that on camera. Now it's on this live stream. You know what I've done for this year already. But yeah, I think though I think for the most part, going back onto the Daleks, I'm still a bit confused on how they bring those bronze Daleks into the mix. Like, they were hidden in the void for some part reason. Like, there was a Dalek crucible in there, and I thought there was the Genesis Ark in the void, along with thousands of Daleks and Cybermen from Doomsday. Are you now telling me that in the void there's a Dalek crucible that just apparently is just sucked in there for no apparent reason, and all of a sudden just comes out of nowhere? How does that relate into canon? Like, tell me. Like, obviously, with all of the Daleks sort of gone, are these sort of recon scout Daleks that, you know, there's thousands of Daleks on that ship. Not all of them are these Dalek enforcers. I thought it was just that inner group of Daleks that were just the enforcers. It was like some sort of police force from the Daleks. And I think for the life of me, it made sense, because these Daleks were impure. The Recon Scout Daleks, they were impure. So obviously the pure Daleks had to eradicate the impurity of these Recon Scout Daleks. And that was all fine. But for the life of me, I just can't seem to get my head around them. Why these special Dalek enforcer police force, if you like to call it, appear in the void in a crucible, and there's thousands of Daleks on there. I just can't seem to picture it. I mean, that is a bit of a worry for me, because I just fear for the worst when people look on social media. How is that going to play into continuity? Like, I haven't got a foggiest idea how that gets in there, whether it means canon, or do they even relate to anything? Not along with the Time Lord Victorious that goes along, or the Big Finish that plays along with it. Let's just say that the Void was all sort of like, it's a collapsing universe where it's like a black hole where everything gets sucked in. And I thought for the life of me, when the Doctor programmed that hologram of the TARDIS, and immediately when I thought, Doctor, you're just letting them in. What are you letting them in for? And then when you saw the hologram, I thought, yes, of course. This isn't her TARDIS. This is just a programmed fake TARDIS. Of course it is. So I thought the Daleks were in the TARDIS and saying, we have a TARDIS. We'll find you, Doctor. And the Doctor was like, oh, no, you won't, because I've programmed this TARDIS to self-destruct and to collapse itself on itself and be sucked into the void. And even for the life of me, I thought, brilliant way to get rid of a lot of Daleks like that. Because I think a lot of people just tend to criticize like when Daleks get defeated in such a dramatic way like that. And it's like the Doomsday sort of thing. They just suddenly get blown up or they get sucked into the void. Like the Stolen Earth on Journey's End, they get blown up because of one device and one flip of the switch and they all get destroyed. Sometimes for the life of me, you can't really destroy Daleks one by one and you expect none to be remained. Sometimes the best things are to do in bulk and to get rid of Daleks that are massive, like massive fleets of Daleks. Like, there's only one possible solution. Closing a universe or a TARDIS in on themselves. They're in the TARDIS, they collapse on each other, and they get sucked into the void like, bam, gone. Probably the best way to end a Dalek Enforcer task force like that. And I think it's just for the life of me, looking at the story in general, where do you think this ranks as for a Dalek story? Because let's face it, I think this is a strong contender. This is better than Resolution for sure. But I do think it's not as perfect as what most people think. I'd like to hear your opinions, guys. Do you think that this deserves to be not the best Dalek story, because there's better Dalek stories out there, but do you think it deserves to be up there as a recognizable? Because I think for the life of me, the pacing was brilliant. I had no problem with the pacing. The pacing was fine. And I think the characters were brilliant. They played their role. Even Jack, he had to be the biggest dick of them all. And even with Captain Jack Harkness, you saw so much confidence and, like, he's done this before. Like, he got into his mojo again. Like, he haven't even left the TARDIS, like, since last time. Like, he still has these old traits, whether it be the Vortex Manipulator or little reference there to Torchwood, or to see his old gear back again. And even knowing that he never ever had a room of his own in the TARDIS. There never used to be a Captain Jack Harkness suite. Do you think there was? Maybe when the Ninth Doctor was there. Maybe in Boomtown. I don't know. But probably there's going to be some digging when it comes to Jack's story. And I hope we see Captain Jack again, because I don't really think having him in a Doctor Who story is bad, because I think for the most part it was a feel-good factor because of the tremendous year that we've suffered through for 2020. I think Captain Jack coming into this story was probably the best way to say goodbye 2020 for all of the horrible crap memories we've had, and to put a smile on your face, to get yourselves excited for the brand new year. I think Doctor Who have definitely succeeded that. And for a Dalek story, I think since it played quite well with Resolution, I'm going to say it beats, for me, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, because it now makes sense or sort of makes sense. Now they brought the Void back into the mix. Keep on thinking back to Doomsday and, Army of Ghosts. Now that's a thing, apparently. There's apparently a Dalek Crucible in the Void, just randomly there, and they're sort of undetected, but the Dalek seeks them out as a call, like a calling, a cry for help almost. Makes you kind of wonder, like, do they really need to be there? I mean, how else are these Bronze Daleks going to identify that these or the recon scouts of Daleks are impure? And even for really good reasons, I think that recon scouts, they're brilliant designed. I love these designs of these recon scouts, and even with the appliances they had, whether it's a water pistol, sonic, supersonic waves, or whether it's a smoke bomb. Like, I thought when I saw that, I thought, I can't fucking believe it. They didn't do a ray gun. I was like thinking, no, 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 don't do a ray gun, don't do a ray gun, because it's too obvious. And then to do that, I'm like, I can't believe that. They've actually made the Daleks not as menacing with a death ray, because obviously that's going to be obvious. But I love that. Obviously, there was the flamethrower thing, Dark's Mossman. They could have had that, but a flamethrower would have been too extreme. But a war pistol, which was really nice, and the smoke bomb, which they could have made the gas a bit toxic. I would have liked somebody to die to maybe give some sort of strength to these Daleks, and then the supersonic waves, which completely crashed everyone's minds. Yeah, I like these Daleks. And I think for that reason, I'm going to rank it better than Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. Better than Daleks and Take Manhattan. Not as good as Journey's Earth and Journey's End Stolen Earth. I'd have to say it's better than Victory of the Daleks. Better than Asylum. I'm going to say better than Into the Dalek, because even I've got a soft spot for Into the Dalek, in my personal opinion. I think that story for me in Series 8 is just gold. But I think it beats it just slightly, just because of the fact that they went for something completely different. And it was just amazing to see the fact that the Daleks were made more scary, but more on a massive scale level. Like, we haven't seen a massive scale Dalek episode in a long time since whatchamacallit? I guess since Journey's End Stolen Earth, or you could count The Witch's Familiar, I guess, and The Witch's Apprentice. But I think that that's better than that one as well. And then, yeah, I think it definitely deserves to be above the ranks of all of those other weaker Dalek stories. But I think for the life of me, it deserves to be a strong 9 out of 10. I'd love to have a rewatch of it, because my opinions could change. But I don't think they will change, because I think Daleks have always been criticised for the fact that they've never been made a menace. And it's always been Doctor Who's fault not to hire them as machine killers, or to even do something completely different with Daleks. Immediately before I saw Resolution and this story, Revolution of the Daleks, I was thinking, how can they make these Daleks improved? Or, I don't know, make them different? I mean, we're sick and tired of seeing the Daleks being used in the same Dalek format. We've been crying it out for years. But to see all this makes me congratulate Doctor Who in some way, because I've got to be pretty honest. Seeing those Daleks and seeing how much they've had an impact on not just for the companions, but for everyone and the government's sake, and for the fact that you see more brilliant sort of power that you see from these recon scouts forcing their way themselves to become more of the artificial intelligence security enforcers of the world, which I think is just an incredible way to use them. And I think we've always been crying out for something just to happen just like this. And I hate to say, when they bring the government into Doctor Who episodes, sometimes it never works. And sometimes we never want these political things to even recur. And for the life of me, we always have some sort of trouble when it comes to political stories like that. Always a bit of a faff, and no one really cares. But I do think, though, this works. The whole government, Jack Robertson, even if he is the biggest dickhead, and I can't really picture himself being president. I don't want him to come back. I want him to be killed off by a Dalek. That's how badly I wanted this story to work out for him. But even as a decoy, as a traitor, as a manipulative bastard, and just a real ongoing brute, like one of those political morons that you just really hate to see, I thought he was brilliant. Really, really was. And I think for the companions' sake, these companions literally stood up and took some ground. And really gave the Doctor a run for her mouth and to say, "You've left us for 10 months. You're not going to explain why you've been away. You've left us." Like, I was glad that they finally took a stand. You saw how Yaz and Graham and Ryan were so out of character. Like, they're not sort of the things that you expect from those characters. But then when you saw that, you're like, finally, somebody has listened to Chris Chibnall, has actually made these characters so reliable. Because if the Doctor left you behind for 10 months, what would you do? You'd move on. And as soon as the Doctor comes back, you're like, Doctor, what time do you call this? And the Doctor would probably go blabbing on about something. You'll be there just thinking, I wait 10 months. Apology or not. And, it gives us that sort of representation. That's probably how we would have reacted. So it gives me the same identity that if we could have had the whole lockdown, like, it feels like 10 months would have been more like a lockdown almost. And then for, I don't know, for the vaccine to come out just right now, makes you kind of wonder that about bloody time, Boris. Like, we've been waiting for you. And, like, you've done practically nothing. You've been running your mouth off. I think this story has so much relevance to not just nowadays of how they deal with, the police force and how they get very little respect and, the fact that they need help more than ever to, control certain rebels within, around the world and sort of thing. And even for the, what was it? For the fact that they referenced some Doctor Who stories with the Daleks involved, like they mentioned the Void with references to Doomsday and all that lot. They didn't mention anything about Davros, which was probably a good thing that they didn't mention Davros or Davros wasn't introduced, because what would be your opinions if Davros was introduced? Do you think Davros would have been at the head of the table, like controlling all these recon scouts? That would have been nice. But I just don't think it just would have worked. If Davros would have appeared, how would you like to see him fit in the story? Because a lot of people were predicting Davros to come back. Then tell me this. How did Davros, from the last time we saw him, in The Witch is Familiar, how was he transferred from Skaro all the way to here? How did he rock up? He couldn't just Vortex manipulated himself just to lunch and then said, I'm taking over these Daleks for you. I just don't think it would have made sense. If Davros would have been on the Crucible, maybe. But let's face it, Davros wouldn't even create or even program. He might even recreate these sort of special task force of police Daleks for maybe a good reason. And maybe that would have been the case. But I know for the sake of me that the mentioned Remembrance, and with the fact that there are two Dalek factions knocking the crap out of each other, destroying all the recon scouts, and I thought, oh, this is bringing back memories of Remembrance. I thought, oh gosh, you know what? I need to do a review on Remembrance. It's been that long since I've, I watched it like not too long ago with a friend of mine, but I need to do more of an in-depth review of Remembrance and why I think that Remembrance is my favorite classic Who story, and probably will be my favorite story of the Daleks end off, because I just think for the life of me, like, I love Remembrance to bits. And even they pay homage to Dalek factions. They didn't bring out Special Weapons Dalek, which that would have been a bit extreme and pushing a bit too far. But I'm glad that they went and recreated those Recon Scout Daleks from Resolution, because seeing that episode was a resolution. Again, I've just made a tongue twister there. But hey. But I think the man-made Daleks were such of a creativity and, ingenious idea to make people reassure themselves that the Daleks can still be threatening, even though you can make them on Earth. And even you can program them with artificial intelligence and you can do their bidding as security guards across the world. That's not a bad story idea. and the way they kept the Dalek using itself as a pilot, and tackling and killing Leo like so violently. I thought, you seen the Dalek strangle Leo like that? I thought, wow, bloody hell. That's how you kill. That's how you kill a human with a like. That's how the Dalek can kill a human, even out of its shell. That's how vicious it is. Christ, like no ray gun. You saw the skeleton. You saw him literally being strangled and electrocuted and all that. Wow, wow, that was a really really good way to kill off a character. I would have liked that done to Jack, but nah. Oh, this story just wanted Jack to be president, and fucking to live for that bastard. But yeah, though, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. And I think, even mentioning about at the very end where Graham and Ryan make their departure. You see the first ever scene we saw them. They're on that hill. Ryan's trying to learn how to ride a bike. Yet even still, he still can't ride a bike, even though he's been through a lot. And Ryan and Graham see that woman again from series 11. I can't remember her name. Grace, that was it. They saw Grace in a vision, like they're still looking at you, and I thought, oh, just a wonderful memory. She didn't come back. Not sure I say she didn't come back. Let's just say that it's like a vision from the Doctor. Like, at least that's probably what the Doctor would have done for them, to see Grace one more time, smiling and alive. That would have been, that was just, nice. Just a little homage to Graham and Ryan's departure. And I am going to miss them. At least they've got a treat. They've got a psychic paper. Where can I get my own psychic paper from, people? I really need one. Get me into Downing Street, Prime Minister. I'll just be like, Private Goddard, I'm here to split your security arrangements. That could be something. I don't know. I mean, that would be an awesome treat. If they could give us some real psychic paper. I thought that was incredibly generous from the Doctor. The Doctor had psychic paper all of a sudden. Yeah. Honestly, I think I don't want to say it, but I must say it. But Chris Chibnall, thank you. Thank you for not fucking this episode up or making this episode trash. Because I think for the life of me, Chris Chibnall can do good. But when it comes to a series, he's very inconsistent. And when you've looked at the series that you've had with Series 12 and Series 11, there's proof. The consistency is just not there. But compare his every New Year's Day special, whether it be Resolution, whether it be Spyfall from last year, or whether it be this. I tell you what, he is very, very good in making a smile on your face. Thank you, Chibnall. I was wrong. I was really wrong about Chibnall. This probably be my only time that I'll be happy for Chibnall. You won't be happy now. Series 13, if it's not good, you're back to your usual self again. This is probably the one moment where Chris Chibnall can actually feel like himself. He's on top of the world right now. He's the best story writer of Doctor Who. And you're like thinking, no, he's not. He did a couple of good stories for Doctor Who, and that's it. And his series have not been brilliant. They've not been amazing. But I'd say Series 12 has been a massive improvement. There were a couple of underwhelming moments. There were a couple of silly writing errors. There was a controversial finale, which I think somebody's mentioned in the chat with my opinions on the Timeless Children. Yeah. I think if you've seen my Doctor Who canon video, early 2020, this was when I was in lockdown. I had nothing to do, so I thought, I know, I'll do a bit of YouTube. And I had a massive sort of watch along with the Timeless Children again. And for the sake of me, for the Doctor to be the first person on Gallifrey, for her to tap into the origins of regeneration and to forward it over to everyone, to new faces, and to the whole sort of presidents for the Lords of Gallifrey. And like, like the tribunal, all of that was like, how do I even remember that? Like it was such long ago, and it's like they try and make the Doctor like into this super powerful Jesus type like figure. Like the Doctor shouldn't be like that. The Doctor should be flawed and have some fluidity and have some sort of errors in her judgment to make her troubling herself. She shouldn't be this all powerful and mighty God that she is, because otherwise there's no danger. You now know that she's immortal, she can never die. And we all know that because she clearly regenerates. But when it comes to regeneration time, you never ever get upset. You never get depressed. And I think that's probably the one sort of negative that I'll criticize. And the fact that they've ripped apart the timeline is just bizarre. So now you get to say, Chris Chibnall now can officially say that William Hartnell, as we all know, is the first Doctor. The first Doctor to land on our television screens. Are you now saying that William Hartnell is now not the first Doctor? Not the first Doctor. Is Tom Baker not the fourth? Is David Tennant not the 10th? Is Peter Capaldi not the 12th? Or anything like that? You're trying to say to me that there is more regenerations before and afterwards? It's like, that's like a sin on all those other Doctors who have come before, who have played Doctor Who with heart and soul and with passion that bleeds through the show. And I just can't believe that they've decided to rip that whole apart and think the Doctor's infinite. And for the love of me, watching The Timeless Children back again, it was like I was watching like a 1 hour PowerPoint presentation on the Doctor's life. Like most of it was like 75% dialogue. It was like 25% dialogue, 75%, exposition. And that's your series 12 finale, everybody. Useless scenes that didn't need to be there, and dialogue that kind of didn't mean much. Yeah. Mind-boggling, isn't it? And how we've got to this. We've got to 2021 and we've got this. I think for the love of me, I think we've had a brilliant outing of this Doctor Who story. And I'm sorry I've gone on for too long, because I think this is just me. And I hope you all don't have a problem with me being so in depth with all of these reviews that I do. For everything that I do, I try and go into in depth as much as possible. And sometimes I tend to look back at my notes and I'm like, oh, I've completely messed up. Like, even when it comes to recording stuff, I still get very angry. Like, I should, take things nice and slowly. And I never seem to upload things as much as I would do. But for the love of me, I really want to get back into Doctor Who. And not just to the point, I want to get back into YouTube and to do more videos, as I've been watching The Incredible Hulk recently with a friend of mine, Charlie, who recommended the box that I got for Christmas. And thank you, Charlie, for even recommending that box set, because I want to try and review some of the old school Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby and Louis Ferrigno in the classic live action Incredible Hulk series. I like to do a couple of in-depth reviews on those, and maybe do a couple of wrestling style videos, because one thing that has always got me through this year, and it's not just Doctor Who stories, because Doctor Who has been a brilliant part of how I got through 2020 for sure. But I think a lot of it has to come down to, for me, wrestling. And even if you're not the biggest fan of wrestling, you don't have to. But I have to give massive thanks to Cultaholic, because Cultaholic Wrestling are, in my opinion, the best wrestling channel ever for delivering brilliant content, whether it would be top 10s, WTF moments, where you do loads of botches, loads of errors on all of the WWE shows. They do great on all of the shows, pay-per-view reactions. They do live streams on Twitch, which have just been a joy to watch, and they've always kept me entertained. And I think I'd like to just do more than just Doctor Who, Incredible Hulk, wrestling, maybe a bit of football videos, but I don't think that would be for a long time. But I'd like to please everybody because I've got mates of mine who would rather see me do a a season review of the Premier League or a team about Manchester United and a review on all of their matches and etc. I did that long ago on my channel and I felt it worked for a time, but I thought no one was ever watching it. So I thought, don't bother. But I tell you what, this year all of my friends are more positive and more happier than ever. And I think the biggest challenge for me is to please everybody on this channel. And I know it's going to be really hard for me to do that. But I still think if I can try and balance the things that I do on this channel, whether it be Doctor Who, whether it be Incredible Hulk, whether it be Cultaholic Wrestling YouTube videos, or whether I will be going on to other different topics I'd like to go into a bit more of, and try and enjoy 2021 with as much fun as possible. And even when it comes to starting up your own YouTube channel, say for instance, if you're really bored and you can't seem to be confident and being positive when it comes to making reviews or making the reviews like the best you can do, because obviously we can all inspire to do great in this year. And YouTube videos are somewhat tricky because whether you're really passionate about something and if it's something that you've created, always go forward in all your beliefs. And if you're proud of what you've created, that's the most important thing. Don't worry if no one likes it. Trust me, you start off slow. I'm still, after 4 years on YouTube, or 3.5 to be exact, or yeah, 4 years I think, I'm still at 230 subscribers. That's not a lot. I mean, come on, I've been through rough patches where I haven't been on YouTube as much, and you probably would think with a review like this, I'd be getting more subscribers this way. But I think for the life of me, there are some good people in this world who are passionate about YouTube, and they will continue to deliver video after video after video. As my job as a chef, with everything that's going into the world, tier 4 is still being a massive effect, and I can't get back into the kitchen as much as I can because we can't allow anybody into the restaurants. And that was probably the time where I was at my most busiest. And that was probably the absence of where I've been throughout 2020. Work has really kept me going and has really kept me excuse me, they've been at my side and they've just provided some incredible support for me throughout the entire of year of 2020. They've been amazing. And I would love to balance out the time I have on YouTube and to go into depth or to review everything or anything that you may want to recommend to me. I am all for anything that you think will be a good thing to review. Just let me know in the comments. Like, even so, let me know your comments on your thoughts on this episode in particular, because I think for all of us, we are just really thankful that Chris Chibnall hasn't messed up this story. And I've got to give this a 9 out of 10. For the sake that they've made a Dalek story feel more threatening than ever, I'm just so thankful that they've made Doctor Who better this year. And it's already been 2021, the first day of this year. But they've made Doctor Who more enjoyable to watch. And I think it's because of this, because of Ryan, because of Graham, because of Yaz, because of their character development is so great. And I also think that the character of Jack was kind of dickish, but he's that horrible political bastard that you don't really like. But you still see that he's a really good character and he is really such of a antagonist against the Doctor, against Captain Jack, against the companions. He's like the guy you really hate to love. And it's just, yeah, it's just one of those stories where I think you've got your characters who have been built up really nicely and very strongly, I guess, with all of the companions having to stand against the Doctor, saying, "Where have you been?" and all that. Captain Jack was probably the highlight of this episode. And he is such a gem to be around with. I would love for the God of May to even meet John Barrowman. And I think whenever that happens, I would love a chance to meet him and say for the fact that if that is going to be your last Doctor Who appearance ever, please come back because we would love you to come back for anything because that story there, I'm glad that Jack wasn't just in and out as a cameo appearance. He was full on involved and was practically involved in everything, in all of the tasking, whether it be shooting with his sonic blaster, whether it be the explosives, running around with the Doctor inside the prison. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I've got to say that Jodie Whittaker has proved to me a lot because she's improved because of her character and for the fact that she keeps going, known for the fact that she still doesn't know who she is. Obviously, from the Talentless Children, that just completely clobbles and confuses her mind, but she's still the Doctor. Whether you like her or you don't, she is really good at what she does, and she's given her all. She's given her best at the Doctor. And whether you think that Jodie isn't a really good Doctor, that's your opinion. But I still think that Jodie Whittaker is still proving and developing her Doctor skills and making sure that she can become the best that she can be in every single Doctor Who story. And I think that's what she plans on doing for the rest of the year, trying to, make 2021 a series for all the Doctor Who fans so they can be proud of her, that she can do good, she can deliver great performances. And I think this was one of them. To see that anger, to see that the fear that she still has for the Daleks, and even for the life of me, I still get nightmares of the, Dalek in 2005, where Eccleston saw that Dalek and was completely scared and surprised. Like it was just awesome. Love it. But anyway, guys, I hope you can spare one final chat to me before I go off. I plan on ending this stream probably at 1 hour 30 minutes because I feel like I've been on here for quite some time, and I'm glad you've all enjoyed my live stream review. If you're watching this on delayed, then make sure you slap a like button on this video. Please comment down below your opinions on Revolution of the Daleks. Please don't forget to share and subscribe to my channel for more Doctor Who content like this. I want to thank everybody for joining me for this live stream. I wouldn't thought for the life of me I was going to get this live stream working because I had real trouble at the very beginning because, I just had some problems I just needed to sort out. But I'm really thankful that, a lot of people have joined this live stream because, it's either that they love me, maybe, I don't know, but there may be some sort of truth to what I'm saying, and maybe there is, the reviewing style that I do. And I think I get comments from a brilliant friend of mine named the Doctor Who Guide, and he was saying something about the way that you review Doctor Who stories, and the way that you bring so much gravitas and so much generalism into all of the Doctor Who episodes that you review in depth. It's the best way that you should look at yourself and think, that's what you're good at. You should carry on at what you're good at. And even if this has been a long live stream, I'm thankful for all of the chats. Even I'm going to scroll through and see what everyone has been saying. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of not been interactive with the chat as much. I mean, I'm really sorry, guys. But like I said, when I go on to my review rants, sometimes I never stop. And sometimes you just need to say, Alex, we get it, okay? You love this story, okay? We get you. The incinerator scene made no sense. He was almost clever until he opened the case. Why did he open up the case? Yeah. He should have just thrown the bloody squid into the furnace in the case as well. Definitely Yaz' best episode, and I see her having a Martha-esque love, like she's the Doctor, and the Doctor doesn't like it in that way. But I think it's the best way to go. Yeah, I think so, because let's just say that Yaz has been having the best sort of time as a companion because she was very underutilized and no one really cared for her. She was kind of dull, but I think this was probably her strongest. That maybe there's a turning point for Yaz, for series 13. People were complaining about the TARDIS being too crowded. Now it's going to feel really empty, which is weird. Yes, definitely. But Do you think though that it has some sort of like um do you think that they're going to pick up a companion, like a new sort of companion, or are they going to stick with the usual two? Because since when did two people in the TOS become a problem? Because I think for the most part of us, we've always enjoyed having, the Doctor, Rose, the Doctor Martha. We've had, Doctor and Donna, Capaldi and Clara. We've had, Amy and the Doctor. So I think two has always been that usual format. And obviously, we've had those ongoing series where we've had three. We've had three people in the TARDIS, whether it be Nardo and Bill, whether it be Mickey and Rose, whether it be Rory and Amy, or any of those lots. And so, yeah, I think two would be a good opportunity to, say for instance that since when did the TARDIS team used to become crowded? Yeah, I think that's going to be a real difference. You look tired. You can tell. You can really tell I look tired. Gosh, I need to lie down after this. I really wanted to do this live stream review and get it out of the way with, because sometimes I think, obviously, you're going to have another rewatch of it just to process everything. But I just think from that one watch, I was heavily invested. And sometimes your first impressions sometimes stay with you for longer. And it makes you go back over. When you rewatch it, you then know so much when it comes to, rewatching it. You now know how to react. You now know what to expect. And I just think doing this live stream, because I think for the love of me, if I try to do this review with a couple of days into the new year or something, I would have had a pain in the arse editing and filming it all. I didn't want to do that. And I think for me, the best way to get my opinions across when it comes to new episodes like this, when it comes to reviews, soon as they get released or soon as they air, I like to do a live stream review because it's the best way to share my opinions and to interact with you a lot. And I think that's what I should do more often, interact with all of you a lot, because you are the people who watch my videos, and I'm thankful for the support over the years. Even if you're an old subscriber or you're a new subscriber, I'm thankful either way, because I may not be the biggest YouTuber, I may not have the biggest subscriber list, but I've got one big heart with a lot of passion for the things that I review, for the things that I love to make on this channel. That's the biggest thing that I've got compared to most YouTubers that don't usually care for the fact that, you're more concerned about the money that you made, for the views or the likes you get. I don't care. I'm happy to the fact that I've told you my thoughts on this New Year's Day special, Revolution of the Daleks. Whether you give it a rating out of 10, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 because it definitely has some amazing potential in the near future when it comes to the Daleks. Let's have a look. You see, we hate Jack, but Jack is best boy, but Jack is still a twat. Yeah, well, sometimes you may need to remember, I reference Captain Jack as Captain Jack, but when I just say Jack, I mean that dickhead Jack. That's probably something I need to make completely clear. Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Rob, for tuning in. Yeah, don't worry about it, mate. It's fine. John Bishop. Now, here's the problem. I'm going to talk a little bit more because, fuck it, it's 2021. I can say this for as long as I like. Who remembered in Kablam where we had Lee Mack of all people in one Doctor Who story, and was anybody happy to see him there? Because let's face it, Lee Mack is a funny comedian. He's a brilliant actor. He's my favorite comedian of all time. I've got massive praise when it comes to Lee Mack and Not Going Out and many other shows. But John Bishop is an interesting one because I wouldn't say he's more of a comedian. I would have seen him more as a presenter. And see him in Doctor Who, I'd like to see how they use him. Maybe he'll appear just for a little small role, and then he might just get pushed to the side. I don't know. That's how they've dealt with guest stars in the past. They did that long list of guest stars for Series 11. Most of them were the main stars, but most of them were chucked to the side like they were nothing. Will the universal translator need an update for John Bishop? No, I don't know how to respond to that, because the universal translator only works for people who've traveled inside the TARDIS. But I think for John Bishop, I don't know if he will become a companion. It will feel a bit out of place that they're trying to match somebody who has the sort of likability, like a Graham, but isn't really necessarily a Graham in that sense. And yeah, I think that's probably what I've got to say for that. Don't mind me, guys. I am just trying to plug this light in. I'm trying to keep the light going, because sometimes it's difficult to see, even with, I've got my Christmas lights on, but apart from that, I don't really want my light on, because my light is too yellow and it interferes, and it makes it just makes it all awkward to even be around with. And don't mind me as I'm looking down here, my cat is trying to join on the live stream. I don't want him to join. Just stay there and don't get involved. Stay. I mean, he's understandable in the UK, but in the US, they won't understand it. They won't stand a chance. Yeah, I agree. No, you're not coming up here. No, you're not. You're not. Oh, say hello to my cats of this year. Oh, he just wants to be around me. He'll be out of my lap soon, I guess. Oh gosh, he missed me. I mean, I've been on here for more than an hour. I know how much he misses me. But yeah, I think I think the US, I think for US America, I think if you're not familiar with John Bishop or most of these other British guest stars, then they may not play a part in anything. But I think for the most part, the UK will understand who they are. But if you're a American who has has never heard of these people before, you don't know what shows that they've been on. Are they a good actor? Are they a good presenter? Are they good here and there? Yeah, it's just whether people have got opinions and they debate on, do they think that these characters are good enough to be a Doctor? Excuse me, I've had nothing to drink, and I'm supposed to be doing dry January. Oh, I'm surprised. Feels like I need a drink, but I'm tempted not to go for one. Might go for an iron brew or something, but yeah, I think that might do it. Please comment in the chat, guys, if you want to talk anything more, or just say your final thoughts on this video, because I've enjoyed doing these live streams, and I think I just need to do more. Do you guys agree? Because I think I might not be the biggest live streamer, but I appreciate even for the fewest amounts of people who join me and just have an ongoing conversation. And whether it comes to review like Revolution of the Daleks, like I'm all for trying to get people involved and to give people what they want. Like I'm not one of those people who tries to, let me just turn that light down a bit. I'm not one of these YouTubers who tries to do a day or like a video a day all together. I'm not like that. I just think it's too much time for me. Sometimes in 2021, I've got new predictions to do, and so maybe not to get angry when I screw up a video recording, because sometimes I get frustrated when it comes to videoing something and then editing it all out. But yeah. His accent is the strongest of all of the recent castings. Yeah, I'd say so. Aim the light at the wall instead of directly. The light will bounce. Yeah, okay. Cheers, mate. I'll try that. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a curtain, so it's not necessarily a wall. I've got no wall at all anywhere. And I'm trying to keep it in because it's going down. The light's going down, unfortunately. I'll leave it at this for the time being. Anyway, cheers, Rainy Shad. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the comments. Like I said, this Doctor Who story, if you want to go back and rewatch it, you're more than happy to. And, comment down below if you think once you've rewatched it, or even if you want to comment down below on this video, tell me your opinions. Do you think that this is a strong Dalek story in your opinion, or do you think that they've got so much potential coming soon with the sort of monsters and villains? Now they've redesigned the Cybermen. They've introduced the Lone Cybermen, which is a really cool idea, but unfortunately just wasn't executed. and then they've redesigned the Daleks and gave them a new look and a new sort of purpose. And I like that. Do they think they should do that with a lot more of the monsters in Doctor Who? Say, for instance, I don't know. Shall we say the Silence, since we saw one apparently in the story, or are we going to have a? There are some Tyrants, there are Savines. Do we think that they should recreate the Weeping Angels in some sort of way, like make them really deformed, make them maybe have broken statues, but they still act as a threat or something? That might be a better option to do so when it comes to Weeping Angels, because they're really tough to do so. Yes, of course, mate. Charlie, could we probably leave it for tomorrow? Because actually, mate, no, it's getting late and I'm getting tired. So, I mean, there was one person who quoted, "Alex, you look tired." So, yes, I'm going to leave it for tomorrow, pal. I'll let you know when we can call and stuff like that. But yes, I think that's going to do for this video. I am happy that everyone has joined along for this live stream, and even if you've been here for 5 minutes or you've been here for the whole thing, I thank a lot of you for just coming onto this live stream and actually listening to what I've got to say. And I would love to hear what you've got to say in the comment section down below of this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always, and always stay on my channel because, like I said, I don't upload videos much often, and it's just for the fact I really think it's a new year. I should have a new attitude, be happy, be positive, be you always. And I think for me, I'm going to try and make these videos more interactive, maybe do a couple more live streams with you. I think that will probably be the general sense. It's not an original Dalek story. It's done many times, part of the Daleks, Future of the Daleks, but it's pretty solid. I don't think I like the new look proportions, especially the dome. Yeah, I see what you mean. I think it's the fact of how they could change the sort of Dalek sort of head. Maybe they could have done something a little bit better, maybe bulked them out a bit. But I still think it's an original idea, though, because, you know, since when does the Dalek ever use a ray gun? Of course, it reminds me of Death to the Daleks, where they had no gun, but they had to improvise with a machine gun instead. This one, though, the Dalek recon scouts, they use a pistol, a war pistol, a smoke bomb, supersonic waves, which I thought, oh, this is good. I like this. Yeah. Yeah, maybe the shape's a bit wrong. Yeah, I say so, but there's nothing wrong with a mini Dalek. I mean, who do you think is probably riding that recon scout Dalek in the episode? Do you think it's a kid riding it? I bet you it'd be a very small man who's probably riding the Dalek operator inside. I bet it's a kid doing it or something, or a younger stage operator or something. Maybe that's probably the case. But yes, I am very thankful for everyone joining this live stream with you. It's been fun. It's been amazing. It's been really great to share my opinions and to share some light onto this brand new year of ours and how we look into 2021 with a much bigger picture, with staying positive, happier, and most importantly, this is your year. This is your year to be you and always go forward in all your beliefs. I'm sounding like William Hartnell here. And prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. There we go. Reference for you there. Have a wonderful, safe, and awesome 2021. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining my Revolution of the Daleks live stream review. I really appreciate all the subscribers and all of the other people who have joined this live stream review for a chat, for discussion, and for seeing our first thoughts of Revolution of the Daleks. Sometimes I get confused whether it's resolution or revolution. Like, there's two completely different words. All you have to do is just replace the S with a V. And sometimes it's literally just too confusing. But anyway, like I said, keep up with the support on my channel. Keep subscribed. Like this video, share and subscribe for more Doctor Who content like this. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. And I'm going to get off. I need a rest. And I wish everyone a happy and safe 2021. See you guys soon. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you in a new video in 2021. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Good night.